It is time now for your Sunday Money, a viewer question that we got. Do I need a trust? Even if one's financial life is fairly uncomplicated, whether you're 28 or 88 years old, everyone should have an estate plan for their stuff. But do you need a trust? So let's ask our money man, Paul Fain, president of Asset Planning Corporation. Paul, I think sometimes people hear the words like trust and estate and it sounds very fancy, but really, you know, everyone might have something that falls in those categories.
Exactly, Leslie. It's just, like you said, it's your stuff. It's your car, it's your home, it's your retirement account, your bank account, your IRA, and of course the death benefit of a life insurance policy. All this comprises your stuff, your estate.
And when someone passes away, when that time comes, what happens to all of that stuff?
Right. So there's several ways that our property passes. One simply is the last will and testament. It says, "Dear probate court, this is who gets what." The form of ownership's important. If you own individually a bank account, a house, or a car, then your will dictate who gets that property. If you own something jointly, then the other joint owner gets it without going through the will. Similarly, we have contracts, and by that I mean an IRA or 401k has a beneficiary, a life insurance policy has a beneficiary, and you're naming who gets that property by contract so it does not go through a will. And then the last piece that we can talk a little bit more about is, of course, a trust.
And when do you know that you should be someone who needs a trust?
Yeah, and that's a very relevant thought, is not everybody needs a trust, but if you consider the types of trusts that are available, living trust and a testamentary trust, for example. That means a trust that's created in your will. A lot of folks like to have a trust for management continuity. They're just thinking ahead in terms of what if myself, or maybe if I'm married, my spouse is disabled or incapacitated. You're appointing a trustee or a co-trustee with you to help manage your business affairs, your financial affairs, and et cetera, et cetera. It avoids probate. So a lot of folks like to skip those months in the probate process. Probate in Tennessee is not onerous or expensive, but a trust avoids the probate process. And generational planning. You know, maybe you've got young kids. Their money would go into trust if you die. Maybe you've got children that are adults, but maybe less responsible, or maybe you have special needs. A trust could help manage those assets.
Now, legally, what does this look like? Is this just something you can do between your family? Do you need an attorney to bring in, another person?
Call me conservative, but if you need a trust or want a trust, I would consult with an attorney. Now, you might spend several $1,000s, Leslie, but just think of the enormous risk of financial mistakes or just headache and hassle and pain and suffering that you might avoid having an attorney draft a trust for you.
Definitely important. Kind of how you said some of those things about if there's a disability or, you know, an unexpected death. I think we look at the movies and you hear trusts and wills and you think, oh, that's only when the kids are fighting over the money, but really this goes a lot deeper. There's a lot of other layers of protection.
Yeah, and a legal counselor can help kind of navigate you through that process and make good decisions.
Great question, whoever sent that in as well. Let's do our fast market facts.
So when you look at the baby boomer generation from 1946, born from 46 to 64, they've accumulated $30 trillion, Leslie. That's going to be passing hands over the next 20 years or so. So I get questions all the time, will I owe an inheritance tax? Will I owe an estate tax? So let's just clarify. The state of Tennessee no longer has an inheritance tax. The feds have an estate exemption of $11.4 million per person portable, which means if I don't use mine when I die, then my spouse gets the 11.4. So that's $22.8 million that can pass estate tax free. So the good news is the Dow Jones average finished at an all-time high on Friday at 26.7, so that inheritance is just getting bigger.
Wow. Hey. Thanks to the older generation for passing that down, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Paul. If we do have a question for you, where can we send those to you?
Yeah, send it to paul@assetplanningcorp.com because it's a lot of fun to handle viewer questions.